people, it's your boy Osman back again with another Manchester United podcast. Myself, solo setting. Get your question in, any sort of comments you want to make regarding anything I discuss in the show as well. Feel free to put them in the comment section. As always, you know the drill. When you first arrive, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, keep spreading the good vibes in the chat. We love to see it. Your boy Usman is back with the content. I had to take a week off. Obviously, did have the show yesterday, but I just want to quickly start by saying thank you for everyone who has supported the channel this year. Obviously, supported me on social media. I did lose my Twitter account, and I have now built it back up to a somewhat respectable number. We are still trying to grow that, so please feel free to follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, which is down below here. Usman Talks United. It's also down in the description for whatever reason. If you can't see what's on the screen, that is not an issue. But just want to say, firstly, thank you for all the support. I appreciate everyone that stuck by me. Listen, I'm going to keep it real with you guys, as I always have done on the channel. The viewership is up and down. We know that, but I continue to make the content because of the few people, the 50 to 100 people that always engage with the podcast. I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly. Thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we don't get the most views for whatever reason it is where it is, but the same people keep coming out week in, week out, day in, day out, and supporting the content. So for you guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well, all that good stuff. But listen, let's get into the show. We're going to talk about the ins and outs regarding Manchester United Football Club. If there's any player that you want me to discuss, please get it in the comment section. Obviously, in general, if there's anything you want me to talk about, let a brother know. Of course, I will cover as much as I possibly can. The brush is in the chat. United Way is in the chat. That is me, and the homie Benji, who is actually back in the UK, is in the chat as well. Benji, good to see you, my brother. Hopefully you and the family are doing well. Hoping to get Benji and Kojo on the channel at some point very soon. The Three Amigos return, so that would be a great show. So obviously, if you're an OG fan of the channel, you will know what I'm talking about. But anyways, as the title suggests, Martial, Pogba, Lingard, and Cavani potentially on their way out. We will be going through it individually, but first I just want to talk about this miraculous or incredible rebuild that we've sold, throughout the entirety of this season and throughout the entirety of the previous manager. I mean, the rebuild that we were sold dreams on seems to be crumbling down in front of our eyes. I mean, it's only taken a matter of a few months from where we were to where we are now. So it's an absolute shambles, to say the least. But nevertheless, we got to stay positive because we have got a new manager. Ranić is coming in. There's a lot of speculation suggesting that we are going for a DM. There are a couple of names banded about at the moment, but I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot about these players. There might be some of them, of course, I can give you a bit of details on, but the names that have been banded about, to be quite frank and honest with you, I don't know enough about these players in terms of their personnel, their play style, etc. I know they are DMs. That's all I know, really. And mine is watching them on YouTube. That's really all I can give you on that matter. So I'm going to stay away from that for a second. Of course, we have got Kojo, who's somewhat of a specialist when it comes to European football. So hopefully we can get Kojo on in the coming weeks, if not the coming days, and then he will be able to give his thoughts on said individuals. But for the meantime, we're going to talk about our players and who I think needs to leave, who I think we should keep, that kind of thing. If there's anything you disagree with, as always, let us know. Benji said he'll be back bank holiday on Monday. The show on Monday, as I mentioned yesterday, is going to be 10 o'clock next week, straight after the Manchester United and Newcastle game. So I tell you what, that's going to be a bang. And if Benji can join us as well, that's definitely going to be 5x ITN. Hopefully you calm down after yesterday, my guy, man. Listen, ITN, this is to you specifically. Firstly, I appreciate your support. You're an OG fan. But listen, when I get guests onto the show, just know they're the homies. They're my homies, yeah? So people like KL, people like Lawless, and whoever else may be, they're my brothers, basically. So just I know you don't agree with what KL said. I don't agree with a lot of what KL says. But yeah, let's just be respectful, obviously, But it is what it is. Thank you, Anils, for your support. Martial will be cashing what we can. Lingard will hold out contract money issues. Henderson chill. Your number 2 and Cavani end of season can go. Okay, so that's the end of the show. That's pretty much the show done. But Henderson, actually, I've completely forgotten about him. Let's start with Henderson first before I do forget. Look, for me, personally, I've said consistently that Henderson was not ready for the big stage or the main stage, whatever you want to call it, at Manchester United Football Club. This is not a knock to him as a goalkeeper. I still think he's got the potential to be a fantastic goalkeeper, as we saw at Sheffield United for large periods. He was a very good goalkeeper. But for me, personally, I just thought he always had mistakes in him. And at Manchester United, when you make mistakes as a goalkeeper, of course, it leads to a goal. But secondly, at Man United, those mistakes are magnified. I mean, if you pass the ball in this day and age, it's magnified, let alone as a goalkeeper. And the mistakes Henderson made towards the tail end of last season, in particular against Liverpool, I'm sure everyone will be able to, sadly, jog their memories back to those mistakes that Henderson made in that particular game. For me, it's disappointing that we are letting him go. Because we do need a quality number 2. I don't actually know who steps in. Is it Heaton who would step in that scenario? I'm trying to think who other goalkeepers are. It is Tom Heaton, isn't it? I can't think of anyone else. It's disappointing, but understanding, respect his sort of stance on it. He wants to be playing week in, week out. He wants to be going for that England number 1 spot. And for me, I think he's capable of getting England number 1, which doesn't say a lot about England number 1. He's in competition with Ramsdale and what's the other geezer's name? The one who's Everton. I forgot his name. He's an absolute madhead. But he basically is in competition with them two. He wants to be a Pickford, of course. I haven't forgotten him. He wants to be playing for England. Of course, we've got the World Cup. So I understand why he would want to leave. But for me personally, it's a bit disappointing because he had the potential to actually be a good Manchester United goalkeeper in the coming years, but I just don't think he was ready. It was too soon. In my personal opinion, poor management by Oli, but we don't want to get onto Oli's neck because he's no longer here, and people are going to say to me, "Oh, stop mentioning Oli, etc., etc." So let's just stay away from him. So regarding the Henderson thing, just straight out the bat, I do think he's going to leave. Obviously, on this show, we do have a rating system, 1 out of 10 of the likelihood of a transfer coming in or out. So please get yours in the chat. For me, Henderson, I would say an 8. When I say leave, I'm saying this season, by the way. I'm not saying necessarily in January. Of course, I will specify if I think it's in January. But yeah, this season, come summer, I think he won't be a Man United player. So I'm going to say 8 out of 10. Of course, you know, these stories will materialize a bit more in the coming days. So I'm sure we'll get a bit more information. Let's get people's thoughts here. We've got United saying, how much are you hoping for Martial? We'll get to that very shortly. I cannot believe Phil Jones is still here. Honest to God, I keep forgetting he's a Man United player. Martial alone in Jan. Archie, fair enough. I know Archie's put Arsenal, sorry. So be intrigued to hear if you would take him at Arsenal. I still think Hendo's a good number 2. I would keep him. Mata wasted his career at United. I mean, this comment here is completely spot on. This is, for me, it does not get spoken about enough. The way we ruined this guy. We did not utilize this guy's abilities at all. Unbelievable number 10. We played him at right wing for his predominant time at Manchester United. For whatever reason, it did not make sense to me. And it never has made sense to me. One of the best number 10s in the league when we signed him. Make no mistake about it. You know, pretty much back-to-back player of the season for Chelsea for a very good reason. So, yeah, absolutely shameful the way we've treated Matter. So yeah, definitely very disappointed about that. 10 likes so far. Let's see if we can get to 15. I appreciate all the support. Keep slapping the like, all that good stuff. Obviously, subscribe if you are new. But yeah, let's move on to the next player. We have already seen quite a few of you mentioning his name in the chat. Anthony Martial came from France. 50 million down the drain. Is that the question? That is the question. Is it 50 million down the drain for Anthony Martial? For me personally, you know, we can sit and delve into his career at Manchester United Football Club. But the right here and now, the speculation is he is going to Sevilla off the back of his own request. He wants to move to Sevilla. Juventus and Barcelona, I believe, are also interested in him, but Sevilla is his preference. Look, regarding Anthony Martial, for me personally, you know, I've been very critical of this season, but prior to the season, if you follow this channel, you'll know I've supported Martial through thick and thin. I somewhat gave up on this whole Martial FC, Pogba FC. I mean, I kind of disbanded my whole allegiance with the individual players because I thought that was becoming very toxic. So that's why, for me, I started to judge Martial performances, and quite frankly, his performances haven't been up to scratch in a Man United shirt for a long period now. There has been glimpses here and there, and I think that's fair to say. Even this season, I thought he's had a couple of decent cameos off the bench. Whether you would admit that or not, that's completely fine. But for me personally, I would not sell Martial in January. Absolutely not sell him in January. In summer, of course, that is a different conversation depending on how the season's panned out. But for me, I would not sell him in January. The main reason being is because I feel like we're going to be light in the attacking position. I know that's kind of crazy to say given how many attackers we got currently, but the likes of Cavani is definitely going to leave, which you're going to touch on very shortly. And other players, Jesse Lingard might be wanting to leave. Ahmed Diallo, do you trust him to come in? I feel like Martial's still got something to offer to this team. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, but I still think he's got the capabilities of turning it around. But my issue with Martial, and my issue consistently with Martial, is has he got it up here? His mental fortitude, has he got it? How bad does he want it? Is he willing to go against the grain? Every time it gets rough, the guy fucking crumbles, basically. Every time the going gets tough, he crumbles. That's what I was going to say. But for me, that's the issue with him, is his mental capacity. Is it there to be a Man United player? Because Cavani's come and took his position. Zlatan, Lukaku, 3 examples at the top of my head. There's probably more. Like, every time he's had a bit of competition for places, he seems to go in his shell and look for the easy way out. And that seems to be a very much a reoccurring theme with Anthony Martial at Manchester United Football Club. And for me, that's the biggest issue with Martial, is his mental state. How bad does he want it? Does he want to fight for his place? And that has always been my biggest criticism of him. I think the ability is there in abundance. Yes, he's currently off form, but he just needs a couple of goals. And like a lot of players in this day and age, confidence does a lot for you. Look at Maddison. The guy was going through one of the worst periods in his career, and then he's just literally got that goal in the Europa League, and since then he's continuously grown from strength to strength. So I think confidence is a huge factor in a lot of players, in particular with Martial. I think he just needs he does need a fresh start, to be honest. I think from his perspective, the move is the right thing. From my perspective, as a Man United fan, probably going against the grain here and the popular opinion, I would personally keep Martial. I think he's still got something to offer to this team. Of course, that remains to be seen what that is. He'll finally be an attacking system under Oli and Jose Mourinho. We've not been playing attacking football. And for me, I'd be intrigued to see what Martial could bring to that. It'd be an exciting moment to finally see the likes of Martial, Rashford and co, etc., linking up when the shackles are off to an extent. And I know Rashford has consistently dropped good numbers in the last couple of seasons, but I just think with a bit of confidence from the manager, I think Martial can come good again. And for me, I would definitely not sell him in January. Like I said, come the end of the season, fair enough, if he wants to go and it's the right thing, or we can replace him, then that's a different conversation. But I wouldn't sell him in January. I just think we're going to be a bit threadbare in that position, and we're going to be relying on the likes of Amad Diallo and players like that. And there's no disrespect to Diallo, because I think he's an absolute world beater, but I just don't know if he's ready to take on that mantle, so to speak. But anyways, regarding Martial, the likelihood of Martial leaving, again, there is a good chance he could leave in January, as I've just suggested, that Sevilla are very much interested in Anthony Martial's services, and rightfully so. He's a top player on his day, of course, which we've not seen many of in the last 18 months or so. I'm going to say 7 out of 10. I think there is a strong chance that he's pushing for a move. With the fact that we haven't played in a couple of weeks as well, is he back in training? From what I'm aware of, he is returned to training today. If he can get a couple of games and actually contribute and play minutes weekly, maybe he changes his mind. But I just think he wants to play football, similar to Henderson, and you got to respect that. He could quite easily stay and fight for his place, or he could go and be consistent and play week in, week out. So we'll have to wait and see regarding Anthony Martial and what his thoughts are. I'm going to get some of your comments and keep them coming. What are your thoughts? Let me know. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be very upset if Tony leaves. I mean, a part of me is going to be very upset. Look, I love Martial, but it's just bittersweet. At the end of the day, like I said, you got to look after you got to think about the players. I'm sorry, the team first and foremost. And that's where I'm at now. I used to be a fanboy in terms of just, going after my individual players, but I think it's important that I get rid of that, because there's too much toxicity surrounding that. And then you get agendas, etc., and it just gets a bit messy. When I hear players wasted their career, is i.e. Mata, Pogba, etc., I stress their bank accounts are winning. Football is work. Never forget that. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. If Rashford was French and Martial was English, it would be Rashford out. I mean, that's also a fair point, but obviously we'll never know. Shout out to Gunshi. Thank you very much for the donation. Of course, you definitely do not need to donate, but I appreciate your support. I appreciate you even coming through. Just to read out your comment, Usman, love listening to your views here and on the Flying Pigs channel. Shout out to the Flying Pig for giving me the opportunity. I nearly always found myself agreeing with what you say. Keep the good work. Listen, Gunshi, I appreciate that so much, my guy. Honestly, I really do. Thank you. Not obviously, thank you for the donation, but the comment itself means more to me than the donation. I really do appreciate that. Like I said at the start of the show, I'm a small channel, 50 to 100 views, which is what I average on a show, for whatever reason. But it's the same 50 to 100 people that tune in day in, day out, week in, week out. And listen, I am so grateful for you guys, because, like, for me personally, You know, the content's obviously amazing in terms of, you know, me doing it. I love doing the content, but I just love to have that engagement with the family, the UTU family, and I just appreciate you guys coming to support your boy. But moving on from Anthony Martial, keep in your comments saying, obviously, any thoughts regarding what I'm saying, if you disagree or agree. I know that Martial thinks not popular, well, it's not a popular comment or opinion for that matter. But anyways, moving on from Anthony Martial, let's talk about Jesse Lingard, a player that has been linked heavily away, pretty much every team like I've seen linked to Jesse Lingard is well below us. I mean, apart from West Ham, of course. But for some reason, they're not massively linked. I don't know if they're waiting to get him on a free in summer. But for me personally, I think Jesse Lingard is looking at it from a perspective. This is just me completely assuming. But the only logic I can see to this is Jesse Lingard is looking at it from the perspective that Cavani and Anthony Martial on the way out. And he's thinking he's got a chance because the only other people available then would be to play in the front four would be Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, and Greenwood. So there's 4 places available, and I'm naming 5 players. So I think there's probably 6 players there. I don't know. But anyways, he's not really competing with that much now. With Cavani and Martial going potentially in January, Lingard's got a good chance of getting into the team, and I definitely think Lingard is going to get minutes because he actually suits Ranieri's style to an absolute T. I have said it on previous videos, he could be a dark horse in the sense that he could really flourish under the system because, you know, some players are system players. We understand that. And that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think Lingard, he's not necessarily a system player, but he could definitely flourish in the system because it kind of suits the way he plays, i.e. a lot of movement off the ball, pressing from the front, high energy, winning the ball back further up the pitch, which is something he's more than capable of doing with the fitness levels he's got. And just his ability to flip the ball from back to front, like his ability to carry the ball, those kind of things. So I think Lingard actually, from his perspective, is thinking, well, if Martial and Cavani are leaving, I want to stay and fight for my place. And I know a lot of fans do not want that to be the case, and I understand that completely. But for me, if Martial and Cavani are going, you can't get rid of Lingard as well. Lingard is going in the summer for free, so that is factual, as Archie just put in the chat. But you can't get rid of all 3 of them in the same bloody window. I think that's absolute suicide. So you've got to keep one out of the 3. Cavani, for me, which I'm going to talk about now, is an absolute shoe-in to go. He's a 10 out of 10 for me. I think out of all the players I'm spoken about, I think Cavani is the most. I'm the most. I mean, we know Cavani's going anyways in summer, but in January, I think he could actually go to Barcelona. Barcelona need striker desperately, of course. Kun Aguero, you know, commiserations, is that the right terminology? But obviously, he had to retire due to his health scares, health worries, health concerns, whatever you want to call it. So there's an open spot for Cavani to just go in and fit in there and be the lead gunman for Barcelona. And I think he would absolutely flourish there and potentially get them back to where they need to be, i.e. in the top 4 and potentially competing. So it would be an absolute worldly of a signing for Barca, and it'd be a great move for him on a personal level because he's leaving Man United anyways in the summer. So I think Cavani's going. So between Martial and Lingard, one of them, we have to keep him. And Lingard's contract, as Archie quite rightly said, is running out in summer. So it's interesting because it could potentially mean we lose 3 players, but I think one of them needs to stay. He's just talking about United ways there. Shout out to Nippon in the chat. Big up Osman. Thank you, Nippon, as always. Hopefully you do well, my brother. I appreciate all the support and obviously always showing me love on Twitter. My guy. Keep getting comments in regarding obviously Jesse Lingard, Cavani, and the Martial news. For me personally, out of the 3 of them, we have to keep one of them. For me, I would keep Martial. Just because I feel like he still has something to offer in an attacking system. Regarding Lingard, where do we go with Lingard? Like, unless he signs a contract, I would get rid of him in January because he's going to go for free in summer anyways. I keep Martial, I'll get rid of Cavani and Lingard, basically. That is me summarizing. That's just my personal opinion. The reason I'm going to do that is because I think Martial has still got somewhat to offer to the team. And I think he's got the capabilities of turning it around. Just needs a bit of confidence, maybe an arm around the shoulder. As I mentioned earlier, his biggest issue is his mental state. He needs to sort that out. Every time he has a bit of competition, it seems to crumble. And for me, that is my biggest issue with Martial. How bad do you want it? Do you want to be at Manchester United Football Club or fight for your players? If you want to leave when the going gets tough and leave to Sevilla, then so be it. That's on you, my guy. That's on you. But for me, I think he should stay and fight for his place. Regarding Lingard, I respect you. I love you. But I think it's time to go for Jesse Lingard. To be quite frankly honest with you, and regarding Cavani, as I already mentioned, he's on his way out anyway, so I'm not going to waste my breath on him. Look, fair play to you. I was about to say I love you, but it is what it is. And I have no gripe against Cavani. It is what it is. Let him go. He wants to leave. I know all three of them technically want to leave, so let all of them go. I mean, just on cue, Benji said it as well. He technically could let them all go. The only reason I wouldn't let them all go is because I just don't trust that board to replace sufficiently. So I would think if you let them 3 players go, you need to sign at least 2, realistically speaking. And are they going to sign 2 attackers? Absolutely not. I would not be opposed to Amad Diallo getting promoted, however, as in into the bench, etc., because I do think he's got the capabilities of being a world beater. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Martial and Cole leave, Amad Diallo comes to the forefront and maybe starts to shine, because I do think he's got the capabilities of being a world beater, as I've just said. So listen, everything happens for a reason. You gotta trust in the process. But you gotta trust in destiny. And at the end of the day, some things are destined for other people. For Martial, it's not happened. Lingard, it's not happened. And obviously Cavani, I think he's destined to be a Barcelona player. So good riddance to him in a sense. And I wish you all the best. But last but not least, Paul Pogba. Right, okay. This could be interesting because I'm the biggest Paul Pogba fanboy there is. Like, not the biggest, but I'm a massive Paul Pogba fanboy. And I've just gone into detail of how I need to diminish this notion of player, etc., over the club. So I think for me personally, the Paul Pogba scenario is very frustrating, because I think he should have signed the contract by now, and I think his demands, from what I'm hearing, are absolutely ludicrous. There's no way in God's given earth he deserves the money that he's asking for. So I understand why. I understand from our perspective why we're not giving him the money he's asking for, because it's absolutely ridiculous, and no player is bigger than the club. Like I said, I love Pogba to bits, but at the end of the day, the main thing is Manchester United Football Club. So I do not think we need to break our wage structure to keep Paul Pogba. I don't think he's done enough to warrant that, and I don't think any player in a Man United shirt has done enough to warrant any ridiculous amount of money. Because we haven't been up to scratch in the last couple of seasons. Coming second does not warrant, to have an increase in your contract, because that doesn't mean shit to me. So for me, regarding the Pogba situation, it's very simple. If you're not going to sign a contract, I mean, he's going to go on a free anyway, so I don't even need to say it, but I don't really care, because I want players that want to be here. And I know that isn't like, oh yes, I would want to be at Man United. That doesn't mean I'm good enough to play for Man United. So don't get it twisted. Obviously, they have to be good enough, but at the same time, you have to have ability, and you have to have a willingness to be at the club, because I think them two go hand in hand to create that positive atmosphere within the dressing room, and not to sort of turn the tide. We don't want any negativity, and there's and ahhing with the Pogba situation. For me, it's very clear. Rangnick has come in and said, if you don't want to be at Manchester United Football Club, to me, basically you said, to me, it blows my mind why you would not want to be at one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I love that by Rangnick. He's come in, he set the precedent, and he's put the ball back in Pogba's and Riola's court. And them guys have been, well, Riola in particular has been trying to run Manchester United Football Club, thinking he's some fucking big fish. He ain't no big fish. You're this fucking small fish in a big pond, my guy. Stay in your lane. I can't stand him. So regarding the Riola thing, listen, fucking sign the contract or do one. It's as simple as that. Because whatever you want to say about Paul Pogba as a player, and I would, you guys know me, I would fucking back this guy in any beef. But it's as simple as this. You're not worth the fucking 400 grand you're asking for, or to be the highest paid. You signed the contract. I know it's your last big contract, but that's not on us. That's on you, my guy. You're not fucking deserving of a 400 grand contract. 250 grand to 300 grand maximum. And even that is ridiculous. But the only reason I'm stating those numbers is because we're paying fucking Henderson 130 grand. And that's how stupid our wage structure is. So I can't even sit here and say, well, Pogba should get 200 grand. If Henderson's on 130 grand, like, who am I to say Pogba's meant to be on 200 grand? But anyways, the point being is, we need players to actually commit to Manchester United Football Club. It's not about the money for me. Well, it shouldn't be about the money for them. Of course, they're looking after themselves. I understand that. But you just need to look at the bigger picture. We need players that are going to come in and set the precedent, actually do a job at Manchester United Football Club. I want to be here for long term. Of course, the ability does come into play. I don't want to lose Paul Pogba because of what he brings to the team when he's on the pitch. But at the same time, we can't have him disrupting the dressing room, because at the end of the day, if he's not committing himself to the team, it's going to upset the dressing room, because people are still sat there like, well, are you with us? Are you not with us? Like, what is going on with you? Because it's been going on for so long now. So similar to the rest of the guys, I think it's good for Pogba to go as well, to be quite honest with you, because I don't want to. I can't be dealing with this shit for the entirety of the end of the whatever bloody season, and then fucking X, Y, and Z is happening. I personally I would love to keep him, but you're not getting 400 grand off us. I'm sorry, it's not happening. 300 grand maximum. Take it or leave it. If you don't want to, that is completely fine. It is what it is. We wish you well. I'm sure you'll be successful wherever you go, but we can't be breaking our wage structure to this extent. It's absolutely ridiculous how crazy our wage structure is and how much wages we're paying individual players. So for me, it is what it is. It's a shame that we're losing him in this sense, but that's on the club, that's on us, that's on him. It is what it is. There's a lot of different facets to it, but hopefully he can perform to the best of his ability to now to the end of summer, get his free transfer, and then I wish him well. As simple as that, man. It's just too much, man. 400 grand, man. It's absolutely embarrassing. But let's get some comments in. I've got Gunchy put in. The more you like a player, the more stressful it is when everyone is attacking them. Absolutely. So I'm that with Pogba. I'm trying to be more objective too. He needs to go if he doesn't really want to be at United. And that's exactly it. Exactly, Gunchy. That's exactly where I'm at. I love Paul Pogba. Anyone that knows me knows I ride for this guy. And I have for a long time. I defend him consistently. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I tweet about this guy all the time. But at the end of the day, it's a Manchester United football club. It's not Paul Pogba at FC. And I can't stand his agent. I don't like Riola. The comments that he's made about Manchester United over the time. And Pogba's never checked him and said, yo, what the hell are you saying? It's like someone saying shit about your boy. And you're like, you're not saying anything. Like, bro, that's my mate. Like, you can't say that shit about them. It don't make sense. Like, at the end of the day, whether you like Pogba or love Pogba the way I do, it's not acceptable the way his agent has completely belittled the club time and time again, and Pogba hasn't done anything about it. I don't care if he fucking gets you money. You know, there's integrity and other things that are more important than money, and Pogba has never shut him down, and that for me was a massive L in itself. The whole scenario is an absolute piss take. So, like I said, no player is bigger than the club. If you don't want to be here and you're not going to accept the wages I'll be offering you, which I personally feel are probably still too much anyways, adios amigo, you know, bon voyage. I don't know how to speak French. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you know, it is what it is. I wish him all the best in his next tenure, but you know, we got to part ways, man. He's going to be a quality player somewhere else. You know, he's been a good player for us as well. I think he could have definitely done more. I still think he's a bit under he's a bit disrespectful to what he has done. I think he has put in some consistent patches as well at Manchester United, but you know, it's time to go. It's time to go. As simple as that. If you're not going to sign the contract, I love you, my guy, but I love Manchester United, and that's what it's about. Manchester United above any player. And, you know, for me to say that is a big thing for me, because anyone who knows me knows how much I love Pogba, but it is what it is, man. I can't defend it. I can't defend that. I'm a man of principle at the end of the day. He's not showing me to be a guy that wants to be at Man United Football Club anymore. And the way Ranić said it, why would you not want to be on one of the biggest clubs in the world? It's as simple as that. I could not have worded it any better if I really wanted to try. So there you have it. Cavani, Lingard, Dip, Martial, I would keep. Henderson, I would personally keep. I think it's the right thing for him to leave. And Paul Pogba, I would let go as well. Of course, potentially in January or summer. I think Pogba, I'd keep him in January, to be honest. And let him go. Well, I said let go in the summer. He hasn't got a contract. So, of course, he'll go in the summer. I would definitely keep Pogba in January, and I would keep Martial. I'll let Cavani go, and I'll let Lingard go. If Henderson wants to go in Jan on loan or whatever, he can go as well, I guess. I'm sure Tommy Eaton will get a chance and do a job. Yeah, so for me personally, I don't want it to be a massive exodus of players in January, because I think it's important that we do keep the core players at Manchester United Football Club, because we still got an opportunity to compete in competition. The FA Cup's still up for grabs. I know it's not the amazing trophy, but the Champions League is also up for grabs. Players like Pogba, Martial, etc. You know, these guys have a potential, you know, played part in these sort of scenarios. So I'll keep Pogba and Martial for that reason alone. And it's a long season as well, man. At the end of the day, you know, we're going to get injuries. If we sell all of these guys in January, it's going to be peak, man. It's going to be peak. James, pretty straight to the point. Let him go. Let's get to 15 likes, people. Thanks. If you haven't already, please slap a like on the video. I appreciate all the support on the video, as I've already said countless times in this channel. But thank you for everyone that just tuned in, man. It really do mean a lot. I get a lot of grief from defending him on the Flying Pig channel. I agree about Riola makes my blood boil. Pogba could very easy time to stop. Not worth the hassle if you could. Absolutely, man. But in saying that, there are a lot of speculation. I mean, again, this is not for 1 second me saying that Haaland is coming to Man United. Please, let's make that clear. However, there is a lot of speculation that Ranić wants Haaland. I mean, who doesn't want Haaland? Rayola agent again. So what is everyone's thoughts on that? Would you still take Haaland? Because it's going to be a Pogba 2.0. I think that would actually be worse, because with Pogba, he had some love for the club because he wouldn't have come back initially. Whether he could have went to other clubs or not, we'll never really know. But he did come back to us because I feel like he did feel at home at Man United. This is where he's from, the academy, etc. We did bring him through from very young age. So I do think Pogba came back for the right reasons. Haaland, on the other hand, if he comes to Man United, he's got absolutely no loyalties or no reason to be respectful to us. I just think that would be a shit show to an extent. And I think Raiola might even be 2 times worse. But I would still take him. Obviously, it's Haaland. James in the chat saying, yeah, he'd take him as well. Look, I would still take him. But let's just quickly talk about the ins. We have spoken on a lot of detail regarding the outs. So for everyone that's just joined, for me personally, Lingard, Cavani, Martial, Pogba, and Henderson, which is 5 players. I think it's time for all of them to go, to be quite frankly honest with you. I would let Pogba and Martial go in summer. I mean, Pogba's going anyways, but I wouldn't sell Martial in January. I just don't think it's the right decision. I think we're going to need him for the Champions League games, FA Cup games, league games. If players like Rashford and Bruno continue to play the way they are currently doing in terms of their form, I think it's important that you have players in the squad that are constantly on their heels, giving them competition. I mean, the last thing we want is to sell Martial and players like, Martial and Pogba, for example, and the players like Rashford and Bruno are starting to get complacent because they know their position isn't really in contention. There's no real competition for their spot. I suppose Rashford would still have Greenwood to compete, but I just don't think it's going to be the same burden. And I think Bruno Fernandes, for me, and Rashford in particular, have been well below par with their performances of late. And I think them two actually deserve some time on the bench. So for me personally, I would love to see Martial and Pogba come in for Rashford and Bruno. I think it'd be interesting to see how they would work. It'd be a different dynamic, but it'd be interesting to see how they would work in the Ranić system. But of course, I don't even know if we're going to get a chance to see that. But Gunji also said definitely this is regarding Haaland. Like and subscribe to Usman Talk United and appreciate the support. Thank you, United Way, as always. Imagine Sunderland knock out Arsenal in the Carling Cup. Nippon, to be quite honest with you, mate, I can't see that happening. But if it happens, it is what it is. I mean, all or nothing in it, which is the nothing part. Any thoughts on the incomings in January? So last segment on the show is an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions, okay? So if there's any players you guys like the like of, you want to get my thoughts on them, or if there's any players you think I may not actually sign, obviously I can give my thoughts on that as well. As it currently stands, Manchester United are linked predominantly to DM. Haidara is the main name being bandied about. There was another one, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. He plays in the French league, but he was also a DM from what I'm aware of. Again, Haidara, I don't know enough of. I know he plays for, in the German league, the Bundesliga, etc. I don't know enough about either of the two players that have been linked to Manchester United. For me personally, in January window, I think it's an absolute paramount that we get a DM. I'm really happy to hear the lot of the speculation with Ranić, that he's interested in getting a midfielder. Of course, these are all just rumours and speculation. And also a lot of the better journalists, the Samuel Lucas, them kind of people, are saying that Manchester United are definitely in the window to sign a DM, and they're wanting to trust Ranić. And this is what I want to hear. It's music to my ears. I personally trust Ranić. I think he's got a fantastic eye for talent. I mean, his CV speaks for itself in that sector. So I am fully trust him, and I think it's important as Manchester United fans, if we do get a player that isn't really a household name, that we trust Ranić in his appointment. So I think whoever it may be, if it's a DM, I'm going to be absolutely elated. We definitely need a specialist in that position. I think it's our utmost importance, I've already said, that we get a DM in this window. If we're going to have any success in the season, I mean, top 4 is not successful in terms of achieving one objective, at least getting Champions League football, competing in the FA Cup, competing in the Champions League. We have to sign a DM in January. If you do not sign a DM, then the season is a complete write-off. I still think there's an opportunity to salvage the season and have a bit of happiness within the season. But let's get Joe's card. Pogba is perfect for Real. Joe White is a Liverpool fan. I like the name. I want to see Raiola and Perez quite after in the papers. I mean, if they do get Pogba and Haaland and Mbappe, I mean, that's outrageous. But of course, that would be 2 Raiola agents. Raiola players there. I mean, listen, Pogba at Real Madrid is a perfect fit for me. You've got Benzema already there, French connection. Then you're bringing Mbappe and then you got Pogba. So for me, it just makes sense. I mean, he gets his move to Real Madrid. You know, it is what it is. Hopefully, he has some successful years there, whatever it may be. But it's just time for him to go, really, at Manchester United from our perspective. Do we have any hidden gems in the youth players coming through? You love that question, didn't you? Good question. I think that Zidane has a decent talent. Regarding the youth, like obviously I mentioned Amad Diallo already. I suppose he's not technically our youth player. He's a youth player, but he's not from Man United academy. It's hard to say. I mean, sure, Thierry is the one in it, really. He's the one everyone's really, up about in the sense that everyone's buzzing about him. I think Chong is actually back as well from his loan spell at Birmingham because he was injured. So I think sure Thierry is definitely someone that we need to keep an eye out. I think he's definitely got the capabilities of potentially breaking into the first team. And the other one would be Ethan Laird. I mean, he's been out on loan for a long period now, but at the moment with the right back spot, no one's really stating a claim for it. Wan-Bissaka, I mean, I don't want to talk about his alleged incident the other day because I don't have enough information. I don't even know if I'm legally allowed to discuss it. But he's got himself in trouble with the law, which isn't a good look for him. Delort has stepped in, but consistently is Delort going to be good enough against a better opposition? Time will, of course, tell. We have got favoured fixtures at the moment, so maybe Delort has the capability of building a bit of confidence against the so-called lesser teams and potentially really mounting a challenge for that right-back position. Ethan as well, good remember. Ethan Galbraith. No, Galbraith, actually, I do know somewhat of him because he's at Doncaster, if that's the right one. I think he's at Doncaster Rovers, and my good friend supports Doncaster Rovers. And he has been filling me in on Ethan Galbraith. He's been an absolute revelation at Doncaster Rovers. Their fans absolutely love him. He's scored a couple of bangers as well this season. So he definitely looks like a talent. Like I said, the right back position is definitely up for grabs at the moment. And I think Laird would be the obvious one. I think Laird would be the obvious one. And sure, Thierry, I don't think they're ready. Them kind of players, they're not ready yet. Mengi, actually. Mengi had a really good cameo, actually, against Young Boys. Laird, like Delort, is quite good at right back. With ball at his feet, and Levitt is very good at the boss of midfield. Yeah, Levitt's had a decent loan period as well. But Mengi as well. I forgot about Mengi. Mengi was absolutely brilliant against Young, but I think he's definitely got the capabilities of potentially breaking into the new the first team as well in the coming seasons, hopefully. Because listen, that's what it's about. You want to see the youth players getting a chance. Of course, that is one of the pillars of Manchester United Football Club. But listen, we're going to finish the show there. Just to quickly summarise the outs, it seems like there's quite a lot. Henderson on his way out, from what I've heard. Cavani on his way out. I mean, everyone knows that. Lingard Lingard actually wants to stay, from what I'm hearing. Again, I don't know how many in the knows. This is just babe talk. Lingard is potentially wanting to stay. We've got Martial on the way out, who wants to go to Sevilla. Barcelona and Juve are also linked to him as well. Man City, Pep apparently wants him as well, which is very interesting. And then we've got Henderson as well, who's on the way out. So there's a lot of exodus currently at Manchester United Football Club potentially. But on the flip side, Ranić is targeting a DM and Haaland. So I mean, if Martial goes and get Haaland in a DM, it is where it is. Happy days, isn't it? But yeah, hopefully we can get a DM in the coming weeks. Of course, we will be continuing with the transfer show. Make sure if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. These are going to be a very frequent mainstay on the channel in the January transfer window. Of course, there's going to be a lot of speculation, so make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and obviously follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. Shout out to Nippon in the chat. Shout out to Joe White in the chat. Shout out to everyone else United way in the chat. As always, shout out to James. Thank you very much, as always, for supporting the channel. As I already said at the start of the show, we only average 50 to 100 views, but those of you that continue to, ride with the channel and show love, I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly. We'll be back on Thursday with another podcast, hopefully with some guests up in the air at the moment. If not, I will be here regardless, 8 o'clock on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. We will be previewing, hopefully, the Monday game. Fingers crossed everything goes smoothly. We're going to be talking about the Monday game and obviously giving a bit of tactical analysis on that and how we can approach that. I did watch the Newcastle game, so I'll be very interested. When will Phil Jones leave? Will he ever leave? And on that note, I don't think he is going to leave Gunshire. I think he's part of the